Alright everyone, welcome back as we hop into our second match of the evening. It's going to be the lower bracket with ENCE versus Bad News Eagles, and it's big that one of these teams is going to be leaving already, unfortunately, but we're hopefully going to have a very entertaining series ahead of us. We're kicking things off here on Mirage. I do actually need to get rid of that radar again. It decides to reset itself every map.
I'll take over while we get the tech issues sorted. Fairly standard setup. One flat throw. Looking to lead the charge on out onto the A site. Valde, no kit, interestingly, but playing the retake setup anyway as the nades come over the top. And nobody really home as the initial charge heads on in towards this A site. Diha trying to bait in Synopsy into this crossfire, but GXX is doing one better. All the kills turning up T-sided. As a 3-for-1 leaves Madden and Snappy in surely an impossible situation. Make that just Snappy, as Synopsy is already looking nice and crispy in this one, and he helps himself to a triple in the pistol.
Yep, really strong start from B&E, and I guess while we have a bit of downtime here for a moment, it is the force buy coming in, but we can at least quickly brush over the entire VO. As I said, Mirage here being the opening is the choice of Bad News Eagles. Vertigo then being picked by ENCE. Very interesting, we'll touch on that in a moment, and Ancient as the decider. Vertigo I think is interesting because Bad News Eagles don't really play it, but they did just actually get a win on it versus Heat, a pretty convincing one in that series that they lost. So, I mean, it definitely could be an interesting second map still. Good damage from the scout, I believe that was there early on. Scenari brought really low. They have gone heavy on the rifles though. B&E were expecting this force bite to come in from ENCE, and well, with the level of firepower that they have across the board, you don't want to be taking them lightly. Fix the X-ray when we get a moment. My apologies, yeah. I'll just take a quick console.
Oh, big pick. Pius has managed to find one flat throw over towards the B apartments very early on. He rotated that scout nicely. Synopsy will at least be good for a trade, but that's a rifle recovered inside of the B apps, allowing the CT side to posture strongly over towards A, if only Pius can hold on to it. Unfortunately, Synopsy taking advantage of the lack of the armor on that scout player, finds the freebie, and at this point it should be easy pickings. However, now all three players left on this side are tagged up. Diho able to find at least one, and keeps it competitive in the 2-on-2 with Snappy on full HP as well. Full armor behind both of these remaining ENCE players. This starts to get real ugly, but Rigon able to put the AK to bed means just Valde left. Deagle in hand does catch the first man napping though, and Scenari down low. One bullet will do it. He grabs himself the AK. That bomb, Scenari's only friend at this point. He's playing as passively as he possibly can, but it's going to be Valde who locks it down, and ENCE immediately finding the response. The scout and the deagle do all of the heavy lifting, and they've managed to steal a round out of nowhere.
Yeah, we should have X-ray now. There we go. I couldn't actually see if the commands worked. I'm not alive, but thankfully so. Yeah, I mean, impressive clutch. I thought it had all gone south once that quick kill came in on the bomb site to bring it into the 2-on-1, but just caught off guard initially, and then nice little run down from Valde as he pressed the issue, just didn't let up really off the gas. And that leaves Bad News Eagles in a terrible position, of course, with minimum loss bonus. They do at least have one rifle in play, but other than that, it is not looking like much of an investment at all. One flatcher going to pick that AK up when it drops, and does even have Kevlar to support it, so that's not too bad, but they eat a nade. He actually lets GXX take most of the damage, thankfully, since he was on the bottom of the stack that they were setting up. Peeks in, no fear at all right now from ENCE, and maybe there should be some. Maybe they weren't aware that AK was in play yet.
Hadn't necessarily been given any clue that it was, so swings wide, goes 1-for-1. Unfortunately for Bad News Eagles, that's just about fine at the moment. Diho, though, playing with fire, somehow gets away with that clean, and at this point should just be a matter of mopping up, which indeed it is. Rifles able to be recovered by Madden as well, so not a bad result at all for ENCE. Dealing with that one hero rifle without too many issues, and this is where things will start to get interesting again. Bad News Eagles straight onto the AKs into round 4, but Pius has gone heavy into this one as well. AWP's out for the CT side.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect it. He is a heavy up player as well. You don't see him on the rifle all too often. Not a ton of oppers like that anymore. He has a reason sticker. Talk about old school. That nade gonna do some decent damage. Never mind, they avoided most of it. Might try even press the issue around the smoke. That'll be dangerous, but they are fully focused on A in the early moments of this round. They've given up control everywhere else to do so, so it is likely just to straight up execute. A heavy stack ahead of where the smokes will go down, though. This is a good setup from ENCE if they can actually start getting the kills, of course. And yeah, kicks off with a bang. Valda and Dhow at 1 each, shutting it down. And Molly even follows up to stop anyone from trying to press the issue in return. And, well, things have just gone south early on for B&E.
Molly's given them a really nice sound cue as well, just ticking away at a third player. Gives them the idea that there is going to be this heavy presence. And it is going to be the A-site finish. Madden grabs his own kill on the A-site defense. All 3 players now contributing. Valde finally put down, and Soneri's looking to pull off a little bit of magic here. He's got 2. Will buy space at the very least for Synopsy to trade, but that flash should have been good enough. Synopsy down to just 15 points of health. Pius does have another flash to try and get Snappy into this angle if he wants it. Instead, they're just going to look to run down this last man. Low on HP, Synopsy does his best, finds his second kill onto Pius, but Snappy is immediately there for the trade. And the first of the rifle buys for the Bad News Eagles goes south.
And with that, it's 3 on the run now for ENCE after losing out on the pistol round as well. You don't see this turnaround all too often anymore. Not quite as much anyway. Eco from B&E, couple pistols being upgraded. That's all you'd really expect. You get 2,900, but you want to maximize this next buy now and not have any weaknesses. You want the op to come out. You've got what you need to work with. Bit of aggression from Pius. Should catch a player on under. Never mind, just about getting the shoulder out of harm's way right there. Or arm's way.
Oof, a couple of dinks coming out as well onto a couple of these rifles now. They need to be a little careful into this one. And indeed, Soneri is able to find the punishment. Dhow down to 21 inside of this window as well. Need to be a little careful, Snappy. A little conscious. Snappy's lagged out. That'll be a freebie.
Was it a tab out? Maybe hit the Windows key? Something like that?
Maybe. It looked like a complete freeze up, and this is going to get real ugly now. Pius does very well to hit the shot, but it is the B site wide open for the taking here. And with these low HP players, Pius and Dhow both desperately close to expiring, it's going to be a big decision to even give this one a go. Valde really struggling.
If they knew the damage, I think they would, but I think just how low Pius and Dhow are, you've got to consider conceding it, and that's exactly what's going to happen. There'll be a second round for B&E when we didn't expect it at all. I mean, half of the team, I think, didn't even have Kevlar to back it up, and somehow they managed to pull it off. ENCE, at least carrying 3 weapons forward, will have a pretty solid buy. Snappy can buy for himself anyway, although he'll be a little bit short, and Maiden's in a rough position as well. So, yeah, never mind. They're not going to be looking all that pretty. Exits at least being found. It's kind of risky, but seems to be working out for them, so what can I say? And, well, that was suicide. He was mid-reload still.
Flatro is just pushing the issue as much as he possibly can. Of course, not to be really working out.
Stare at him?
That's fine.
Intimidate him?
Just give it the best you can. We do have a tech pause, unfortunately, coming in. We said previously Snappy was struggling a little bit, and the ENCE boys have confirmed that they had 3 guys in that round who lagged out for about 3 seconds.
Oh, that's not ideal.
So some pretty severe tech issues, and not the round you'd really want to be having them in either, right? When your opposition are on the half buy, they've got Deagles, they've got techs. They're running you down fast pace. You make the swing, and then you're still, and then you're dead. It's not ideal. So we will be having a bit of a tech here. I'm hoping that Dean will be able to help me out with the Discord, and hopefully we'll get we'll get some idea of sort of the time period for this one. I suspect it's a new server jobby.
New server. It is one of those jobs. I was just gonna say, I think that might have been the issue, a similar issue to what some of the players were having in our last game before the server crashed. Because I remember there was some complaints that they swapped servers, so I think we're going to be a while
about
there.
Right.
Probably about 5 minutes at least if we're lucky. The issue last time was apparently the files for restoring the match medic, there was something wrong with them, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen this time, and it's a simple enough job of just getting it going on the other server again. With that though, I guess we will throw it back to the break. Stick with us. I apologize for the delays. I know it is not ideal. We've had a very long day as well. Starting this game now pretty late, so we're going pretty long this day just to get to 2 games done as well. So trust me, we'd much rather the game be going smooth, but you've got to make sure there's no issues. You don't want uneven ground for any of the teams due to server issues, so we've got to get this fixed, and we will be back ASAP.
myself in the mirror not so long ago, and I told me, do you know? I told me, do you know? All alone in your head, but you don't have to pretend that you will make a change, 'cause you don't wanna change. I'm gonna be real honest this time. I'm okay with it, I am more than fine. I'm gonna roll all less red dice now. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't get out. I wanna walk the sky alone among the stars without forgetting who I was or have to look back that far. And I don't want to forget who, get who. And are you just fucking around in my mind one last time? I'm gonna be real honest this time. I'm okay with it, I am more than fine. I'm gonna roll all less red dice now. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't. Trap me inside your walls now. Tell me I won't get out. Tell me I won't get out. Crush me with all that you are now. Tell me I won't get out. So tell me I won't get out.
We were caught in the fire. Our faith was left out in the open. Saw the fear in your eyes as we moved through the dust. Nights turn into days, one by another. Under darkened skies, we await, bound to each other. But our spirits never die. Faded as we push through the darkest times. I'll be there by your side. We arise. Everything's breaking. Our souls will awaken. Our spirits never die. At the end of the line, the dress looking at us in audience, keep telling us what we can do, but here we are, showing them, making them wish they were you. We've heard the most when it comes to this, yeah, every shade of blue, but don't even care what they all say. They think we're out of control, yeah, truth be told, we know it, it's just the way we live, we own it.
Alright everyone, welcome back. We'll be out of this pause in just a moment. We are waiting on the GoTV to go ahead and catch up, but we may as well have a little bit of a chat while we're waiting. The pause has been long enough as we were waiting for things to be backed up and such. But I do believe B&E managed to take themselves that round there just before, of course, there were some issues. Snappy timing out on short and such didn't really help, probably contributed to B&E managing to get that round win. But it is what it is. ENCE at least have the money to come back in fighting. They have an op even on Sun Pius, so some positives definitely to be found in that regard, but things could quickly go south if they are to lose this round.
Yeah, this is a very early swing in the context of the game. Sceneri opting for the Mac 10 is a brave call. Has the money, could quite happily have gone for an AK-47. Expect to see something quick out of him. And a big swing early on. Initially, ENCE looking very, very solid on the CT side. A little bit of misfortune. It starts to go south, and this is where potentially we'll start to see B&E do a lot of their best work. Aggression this time called in towards the underpass early. Sceneri and Synopsy about to be put under a lot of pressure, and D has got the freebie. Sceneri next up has only got that Mac 10, don't forget. So as he's got players charging at him from just about everywhere, he's got a lot to do. Juan Flatro, though, has managed to crack open this A site, which makes that underpass aggression really unviable. They have to back away from it, have to try and get something into the A site, and they concede a bomb plant in and amongst the chaos. Man advantage conceded as well with an AWP on the back of GXX, looking to roam for a pick here. Misses his shot, though. And D has instantly in with the punish. This one going right down to the wire already, but still, Snappy so far away from the action. With Juan Flatro on low HP inside of the site, but the bomb has been ticking all of this time. All the time ENCE are setting up for this retake, and they've got no kits. They've got nothing that can get them into this site anymore, so they're going to have to concede a third round. Look to save what they can. Snappy's got a Mac 10 in his hands. And it will be Bad News Eagles leveling things out.
Yeah, big lifeline with winning out that previous round. I think ENCE maybe even forced onto an eco here. I mean, even with that, it's bare minimum in terms of the buy that they're going to find in the next round, because they only get 2,400, and even with what's being spent there on that Deagle for Maiden, it is a little bit too much. They're not quite going to have everything they need to get a buy in the next round, so this is rough. We'll have to see exactly what the plan is. At least one or two players slightly short on economy. Definitely don't want to fully invest, though, as you can see. 3 rifles still giving them a good opportunity to get something done, so I'm not counting them down and out by any means. B&E are on track to potentially start putting up a pretty decent T-side in the early stages here. Oh, that nade. Not as hefty as I thought it was going to be, but still down to 71. It helps quite a bit when you've got 3 M4s in play and a couple Deagles. Gives it the 2-shot to the body territory like the old days.
Yeah, shoves them quite nicely into the 1-shot headshot with the rifles as well. So some nice early chip damage. Question is, what can you do with it? Currently 2 of the rifles for ENCE over towards this B site. Valde, the lone rifler, out on A, and giving up a lot of map control, because this buy was never great to begin with, lacking utility especially, so having to give up these huge chunks of map control, which you can see Rigon just working his way up off the timing. Will lose the fight out to Snappy, however. A big fight to win for the rifler as well over on that B site. Will buy his teammates a little bit more time over on A before this push starts to come through. But it is going to be these 2 Deagles with Valde there to try and provide some kind of support. Madden able to get at least one, but Valde inside of the site is isolated and will go down to Sceneri. Now these Deagles stuck in no man's land. Madden has to drop into the sandwich. He's being flanked out from just about everywhere. The HE will finish it, but again, some Pius is there for the trade. And the man advantage is still just about in the hands of ENCE. A drop down from GXX will level things out, but he's on the wrong site. And with 20 seconds left, D had dropped Sceneri. That's bombed down in no man's land. And it's a round that ENCE are going to win, courtesy of nothing other than the clock.
Yeah, that's one way to get it done. I mean, Take the round win whatever way it's going to go. GXX at least saving the knock over, and with the economy being okay there on 3 players already, they'll definitely be buying up to keep the pressure on. But it's a lifeline salvaged really here for ENCE in what could have been a very rough round. If that went south, they likely would have been conceding a 5th over to B&E. Things would have been looking really rough. So it's a big find, and I like that we're getting a pretty scrappy game here in the early moments, even if it came off the back of a kind of unfortunate kind of timeout for ENCE. Does seem like they have their chance now to get stabilized on their feet once again. Molly down in case the smoke comes in. Nothing too special, I don't think, here from B&E early on either. Slight focus towards mid. It's going to be a couple players, or one at least, moving through under. They'll eventually take their peeks around connector and such, and I'm really just waiting to see what the plan is for ENCE if they're going to try and fight anywhere. It's pretty heavy towards A. Got 3 around that area, 1 in window, and it is Snappy left to solo B.
They've been putting a lot in his wheelhouse, really piling the pressure on. Seems to be dealing with it just fine, though. Happy to lock down that B site solo for now. He's going to be put under pressure again, however. Bomb, led by Synopsy, is starting to make its way up, and this is starting to look increasingly like a B split short. And again, Snappy, a long way from any kind of support lines here.
Perfect call.
Gives himself an angle. Will be a rotation coming, but the timing of it's not going to be great. These are still a long way away, still thinking about the rotation as GXX catches the drop on Madden. Now it's up to Snappy. Everything to do here and limited time to get it done. D has managed to work his way at least into the site itself to provide some kind of overwatch. And he manages to get some good damage down as well. Valde, meanwhile, picks off the lurk, so that opens up time for these rotations to get in. But again, Snappy is still solo, still somehow getting it done. Both players burning alive, desperately low on health. And 2-on-2, they're actually going to bail this bomb out entirely. GXX looking to work his way back over towards A on low HP, nails the shot. And Snappy now knows he's in a lot of trouble. He's got to try and get that bomb down, and he does exactly that. 15 seconds on the clock. GXX has to go retrieve. And this is going down to the very depths of scrappiness. Snappy, he's been heard, that Molotov down to try and flush him out, but the missed shot from GXX at the critical moment. And on low HP, Snappy, I mean, we pointed out he was an anchor, but he's done everything there. He's knocked out the B hit, he's gone over, he's retaken A, he's dropped bomb, and he's killed the last man.
Yeah, he was angered about that whole short dilemma earlier on, so just he's come back in swinging here, and that's exactly what they needed. That was so unfortunate for GXX, though. I thought the molly went in, but I think it bounced and went into the corner instead. It left just a tiny gap for him to get out. I mean, I thought the molly should have killed him, and then it looked like the op shot was going to be on, but he wiggled a bit or something. I don't know. Either way, ENCE are able to edge it over the line once again, but there's not been a single easy round for either of these teams, and this is what I like to see. It indicates that we are hopefully going to have a very entertaining game ahead. What a shot by Rigon. Punishing that mid-aggression and, well, potentially giving them access to a rifle later on. For the moment, though, they'd still have to deal with an op, so I don't think they want to be moving in too quickly for it. Never mind, they've taken Sunpius off the angle just as the boost comes in. Perfectly coordinated. Diha and Connector up close could have trouble with the pistols as well as he pulls back one. Valde finds success elsewhere, and, well, now with it being a 3-on-3, it is back in the hands of ENCE, but this is still a very aggressive play from Diha that does get punished.
That's another rifle recovered as well. All panned M4 in the hands of this T side. Snappy is going to be asked to step up yet again here, and he's managed to find a big kill. Mid control lost for this T side. They're going to back into B. They know Snappy was last seen in mid. They know he should be isolated, but they're not expecting him to have read it as well as they have. Synopsy caught. Knife in hand, trying to jump on up, and Snappy, once again, the hero of the hour for ENCE. A triple kill, denying entry into that B bomb site. He is looking like an absolute wall at the moment. Just about holding his team in it. Again, it's hideously expensive, though, considering the round it was. And unfortunately, my good friend Dean, I have to inform you that this is not a tactical pause.
Sorry, I was apologizing. I was responding rather to some of the chat things. Well, we had a bit of a slower moment. Yeah, I did notice that, unfortunately, as well. So that's why I was kind of chilling for a moment. Is this going to be a longer one? Do we know exactly what the issue is? Let me double check. No, we don't have a message yet. I'm going to type. Oh, never mind. Admin's typing. Server issues again.
Yeah, similar problems. Snappy's complaining of the same things.
Yeah, I mean, this probably means we'll have to send it back over to a break again. I'm going to ask them Is it going to be another server restart or change or whatever? And if it is, we will have to send it over. For a moment, though, Wolfie, you can probably just keep them occupied.
Just keep the children occupied. Yeah, Dad's gone out to work, and Mum will keep the kids nice and
Getting milk.
occupied.
I'll be back, I promise.
Yeah, sure you will. It's been a good game so far, to be fair. As you said, very scrappy, very back and forth. Both teams really fighting for every inch of control. It's sort of what you expect from the trademark B&E. Obviously, some big changes in the organisation. Stickle going out, Devilwalk coming in as the new coach, but still very much playing to that trademark style of hyper aggression, very forward plays, just looking to really push the issue at every opportunity they get. You see it from GXX on the AWP, you see it from Juan Flatro, Synopsy really just charging in on as many angles as possible, and ENCE play a much more not static game style, but a much more conserved game style. Madden really brings a lot of the aggression to this lineup. You saw it when he was added, and so you get this lovely yin and yang uh, effect almost of this hyper aggressive team playing against this very structured and controlled team that produces rounds like the ones we've been seeing so far, where ENCE playing some really nice counter strategies, pushing through underpass, picking off 1-2 players, and the response from B&E is just to charge out somewhere and take advantage of the fact they know there's 2 players on the other side of the map. It's that one round in specifically is really interesting because it's the one where they both have rifles. 2 ENCE players go underpass. They should catch the ultimate free timing there. Should be 2 kills outside B. You rotate back into A. 80% of teams won't have hit A by the time you get there because they'll still be setting up. And then you've got the perfect defense to deal with that. But instead, Juan Flatro charges out because he trusts his instincts and he trusts his individual aim to make the difference. Flings a couple kills out of absolutely nowhere. And the round suddenly is in disarray because ENCE, as a consequence of that tactical play into the apartments, have got a very sparsely occupied A site. And suddenly the A site is battered and things start to go wrong very rapidly. But that's about as much analysis as I can do on what 9 rounds of gameplay we've had.
Yeah. I'm back, by the way. Unfortunately, I didn't get the milk, and by didn't get the milk, I mean the admin said we're not sure how long of a break it's going to be. So I think we might just have to send it over to a pause in a moment if we don't hear anything, because I'm not too sure how the issues would resolve themselves either. It likely does have to be the server swap again. Surely will be, right?
Yeah. It's gonna. There's something going on, and it doesn't. It's obviously incredibly frustrating for everyone, for you guys watching at home, because you don't get to watch a lovely game of CS. You get 3 rounds and then everything goes Pete Tong. It's frustrating for us because we've been at it all day now. It's frustrating for the players. They're getting really frustrated because they just want to play a good game of CS against good opponents. These lot are very friendly with each other, Devil Walker, Madden, and amongst others. So they were having a lovely time before the game started, messing about, having some fun with auto shotguns, Glocks against scoped AWPs. I think I saw them playing at one point. You had to double scope an AWP and try and face a Glock. So everyone's frustrated, but like you said, this one's going to be another long one. So how about we chuck it to a break, and as soon as we've got something more, we'll get somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting deja vu with the amount of times we've had to do that, unfortunately, but we will be back as soon as things are ready to get going. And again, apologies, it's the nature of online CS sometimes. Alright, everyone, we are back finally. There was issues. I think they've been resolved. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but we're in the game anyway. That's the main thing. We finally have some action going on our screens after another prolonged pause. 6-3 ENCE sitting with a still relatively comfy lead, but we'll see how long that can remain. The economy on the brink of destruction right now, and well, unfortunately, they're not really ready for this A push that's come in. Bit of a gap around connector allowed for the initial entry to go the way of B&E. A good pullback by Valda, though, as he even pushes through the smoke for a second. And it's just a bit of a disjointed push in general from B&E here.
Looking a little messy all over the shop. Synopsy's out on B. Not the place to be. And, well, GXX is going to get caught by Valde on exit. Relatively clean round there. ENCE starting to find their feet again. Struggling a little bit with the extended pauses there on the ENCE side of things. I think both teams finding it quite frustrating, but they get through the round. And now a great opportunity to start building something, as once again B&E are going to be down to this half-buy situation. A handful of deagles, couple of techs. Smothering of flashbangs. Hoping that they can just draw something out here. It's going to be a faster play from Synopsy. I think just trying to bait a rotation, but as an isolated player, you're really not going to see that heavy of a lean, or are you, ENCE? Initially completely abandoning their initial spots over on A, they have now readjusted and worked their way into a halfway decent position as Diha deals with Juan Flatro. And at this point, it should just be a matter of cleaning up these remaining deagles, but Rigon and GXX are having none of it. 3 1-deags in quick succession leave Madden and Snappy clutching at straws in all reality. There's rifles picked up as well at this point. It's turning into an absolute carnage. Scenari still alive inside a Connor's beaten Madden to the punch, and out of absolutely nowhere, Bad News Eagles have found their fourth. The Deagles ringing out across the map, and the round that should have started to cement ENCE's CT side has instead flicked right back the other direction.
Yeah, and I like how it started to fall apart the second you said that it was looking all good. It's normally how it goes. The Eagles, as you said, just popping off. Good round all around, really. It was no one who stood out massively. Team effort in it. Well, it pays off, really, because the economy for ENCE is not in a good place. 2 M4s of FAMAS and a couple of pistols in play. Limited utility that they're expending pretty willingly in the early stages of this round as well, because B&E have been so aggressive. So yeah, B&E, I think, kind of knowing what they'd be up against, decided to slow things down slightly, and that's worked in their favor here. They've ran down a lot of utility. They still have a ton of time now, and it looks like they pretty much have this mid control for free as well.
Yeah, work their way into a lot of the opening control. Solid stance to start things off. Done a good job of splitting the CT defense as well. You can see them turtled inside of their respective sites. Makes it that little bit harder for the rifles to rotate. Really get anything done at all. I'm just trying to get any kind of information about what's going on. ENCE aware that they're flying blind at the minute. It is going to be this A site hit. So down to a Deagle, a CZ, and Madden on the M4 to really lock this one out and buy enough time for their teammates to make that rotation over from B, which Snappy has just started to think about doing with 30 seconds left on the clock. And that clock may well help them out here as the nades ring over the top. ENCE just need to stall, need to buy as much time as physically possible. Valde is on the backstab here. There's a man inside a sandwich. Synopsy hasn't checked it. There's the freebie, and there's the backstab to combine. 2 quick kills. They'll trade them down, but there's only 15 seconds on the clock now. If these rifles can continue to delay and deny, that will be enough. And with 10 seconds, that should be job done now. A man on short as well in Diha, just to chip away at Rigon and make absolutely certain. But GXX, well, he's going to have to try and hold on here. He needs to not die after time because his economy is a little bit disjointed from the rest. He does go down, but he gets away with it.
Well then, I was wondering if we were going to have loads of back and forth rounds after the break like we did before, and well, yeah, sitting around for an extra few minutes doesn't seem to have really affected the play of either of these teams. They're still keeping it as crazy as possible. Economies both still on edge. Bad News Eagles this time are the ones who are left with a slightly weaker buy than they'd want, but even then, I mean, they have a Galil on Scenari and Valda. They're stuck with an MP9 on ENCE, so firepower-wise, they're not too mismatched. Obviously, the up for Sun Pius does give a bit of an advantage here as he pokes around on mid. Small gap in that smoke as well if he wants to take the peek towards the boxes, but it is dangerous. I don't think sticking around for too long is a great idea. Backing off and, well, judging by the early positions from Bad News Eagles, it looks like the plan is to eventually move in towards that A split. Unfortunately, it's been slightly foiled by Sun Pius's peek from the stairs.
Yeah, going rogue on that AWP, just rotating it as much as possible. Catching some nice timings there. One Flatro wants some of his own. Has worked his way up. Con with Scenari as well. They're going to try and fade this smoke into an A-site hit. 4 players ready and waiting. Diha is aware of the possibility, and Scenari has actually managed to flirt his way past this smoke. It's a rough old fight, but Diha able to come out on top of both of them and completely lock the connector play out. That's clean as you like from ENCE. A 9th round on the board. Their CT side really starting to click into gear now as the economy for Bad News Eagles buckles once more.
Yeah, 9-4. I mean, we said the back and forth with how close the rounds and all have been has definitely kept it entertaining, but it's getting towards a point now where the score line's getting slightly out of hand for ENCE. Likely to find the 10th if Bad News Eagles can't recover that final 5th round for themselves, then it might be a tough time turning things around here in the second half. Oh, damage exchange. Scenari brought low thanks to the wall that pretty much saves his life. Did exchange some damage, but they get hunted up mid by Snappy, who again is probably still angry about his early moments where his fights didn't go to plan on short. So he's taking the kills he can here while they're up against just the pistols. It's a B push from the remaining players, hoping for maybe a desperate bomb plant, but that's not working out, at least not until Regon starts to find a bit with the Deagle. Is there any more? Spots out at least one player in kitchen, and well, was hoping, I guess, to find a couple of kills before he even attempted a bomb plant. Well, it wouldn't have made too much of a difference. They have their buy either way. Might have helped their nades slightly though. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe if they get that bomb down, they got a little more util on the likes of Rigon and GXX, right? Not to be, however. Last round of the first half, and ENCE are pulling out all the stops here. Double AWP. Snappy will take secondary duties. He's been electric so far, so excited to see what he can bring with a big green in hand as well. Should provide a nice anchor, which Sun Pius can kind of rotate himself around as well, but Bad News Eagles looking to change up the pace again. Some interesting fights going on very early on down mid. Diha in a bit of trouble. The nades start to come in to support, though, and the damage is really significant at this point. One Flatro on 8. Rigon, as he fades the smoke on 20. The nade will finish off the first, but Rigon has managed to catch a bit of a timing here. Just as that smoke went, he's worked his way. I don't think he's been heard through onto this B site. Snappy remains set as an anchor in towards the apartments. And as Rigon works his way out, Snappy has got no idea here. Nobody has got any idea what's going on. It's going to be on Diha's timing, this. He's rotating back into B. He's been heard making his way. Rigon is going to play the trigger discipline, wait for the short push, and he's going to get 2 free kills here, or is he? He whiffs one, and that will be his undoing. Diha able to turn around and buy just enough time, but it's not going to make a difference. GXX and Synopsy doing a fantastic job of entering, despite the slightly wobbly moment there from Rigon. And at this point, for Valde and Madden, I mean, it's last round of the half, so you're going to give it a crack no matter what, but a 2-on-3 retake into this B site when the T's are well set in their after plan is no mean feat, and they make it look easy on the Bad News Eagles.
Yeah, what a play. I mean, it seems like a little bit of a fail that he didn't get the 2 kills, but 1 was enough. It still is the kind of key moment in turning that round back in their favor. So good work. A little bit of a recovery now with the 5th round being found for Bad News Eagles. The question is, I think we will have a couple of minutes just before we get into the second half. So we're going to send it over to a very quick... No? Are we not?
I would wait, because there's some suggestion that the players would like to go as soon as possible.
That would be ideal. I would also not like to wait, but it's just normally we do, so...
We'll hang about for a little bit. We'll hang about for a little bit. You go talk to the Discord people, and I'll let you know what the players are saying.
I mean, at most it's 2 or 3 minutes. We've been on break enough. We'll just sit through it, even if it is.
We'll be the liaison, right? You can be the admin liaison. I'll be the player liaison, and between us, we'll work out how much of a break we're going to get.
Yeah, I can't look at the chat. Can't bring the console up on thing, of course, and you just weren't added to the right Discord channel apparently.
Life's tough, but you make do with what you've got. Hence doing that to good effect so far this series. 10-5 up, and don't forget, Bad News Eagles map pick as well, so headed to Vertigo next, which is a map that BNE don't play a massive amount of, to say the very least. So I think ENCE will be feeling confident if they can take it there with a 1-0 that they will be on their way to victory. Just looking at the stats between both of these rosters, admittedly, statistically, ENCE are very CT-sided on Mirage, so maybe we'll see something coming from that direction.
To go back to Vertigo for a moment, though, although it's not a map BNE play very much, they honestly have decent results in the 2 games that they did play. First of all, the game that they lost there in the opening stages of this qualifier to He, they actually managed to pick up a victory in that one, 16-9, and then kind of got stomped out the rest of the series. So clearly it's a map that they are capable of playing. I'm not sure how fantastic it is for Heat, in fairness. And then they lost in overtime to 1 win. So they don't play it a lot, but clearly they can put up a fight, and if they can manage to turn things around a little bit here and at least make this a competitive map, I wouldn't completely count them out, but still, you don't want to be losing your own map choice here in the beginning.
Certainly would make life a lot more difficult. Looks like we're not getting going as quickly as I was perhaps hoping for. I was wishing it into existence, not to be.
Got to do it that way sometimes and just hope for the best.
Just got to keep your fingers crossed.
Wolfie being the optimist. Never seen that before.
I think it's been such a long day that my head has gone full circle. I've gone through all the stages of grief and now I'm back at denial. Interestingly, Snappy has bought a smoke, a flash, and a HE to a pistol round, which is not what you would call a standard buy, but there we go. The pause has been cancelled and we will be getting into the second half, so we will get a chance to see where he wants to use that HE.
I tried to woo, but it was at like too high and nothing came out. It was like a really low. I tried to go woo, but it just nothing happened. That's my voice giving up after a long day. I started sitting around being quiet and then getting louder. That's what I hate on my voice. I'd rather just keep it at a solid pace. Either way, straight over towards A. Makes sense with the amount of utility Snappy bought up. Smoke down towards jungle, I believe that is. The fight forced on stairs, that's a good idea. They managed to dink him up and force him out of play, and well, there's no one really in a position to do anything about this bomb plant right now, so it is going to end up in a 5-on-5 retake, and Snappy's nade could do some serious damage. I don't think it does as much as he was hoping for. Synopsy just about survives on 3 health.
That would have been spectacular, really would have justified the HE, not to be. And this retake is about to get very ugly. Soneri has got a defuse kit and a smoke to work with. They are creeping their way out at the moment, hoping to catch a timing, and that's exactly what Rigon gets. They work their way into the site, but the Dinks still just about going the T-side's way as they charge on down 2-on-3 as they try and take the site, though. It's a couple of quick kills. Some Pius and Valde combining beautifully on the crossfire. CT and Palace, not normally the 2 angles you're looking at if you're retaking the A site. And it works out beautifully for ENCE. They've got their 11th round full eco to follow from BNE, and already they're running out of opportunities here on map 1 to have impact.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to slip away from them a little bit. Am I recalling correctly that they won the pistol and then lost the rounds afterwards on the first half as well? So things haven't been going too well for them in the early stages. Feels like it was hours ago, so hard to remember. Just a couple of Eagles for now, though. They get the 2400, I believe, as well. So even with the loss bonus, slightly boosted, the buy will not be all that great on the CT side. If they were on offense, if they were on the T side, yeah, great. You'd be getting your AKs, you'd be getting the basic and the utility as well, which is plenty for Mirage. But on defense, you want a bit more to work with. A few kills here, at least, maybe to add a couple of smokes to the buy would help out.
A little bit of util out. Mid control to be contested. Have seen these rounds get a little squirrely before. Would have to imagine that this one should be relatively clean, although Rigon, trying to make it difficult already, has managed to find an opening pick. Around the edges of the fading smokes, he's just caught Snappy's head. And as they head out onto this A site, it is heavily stacked up with bodies, is the very big issue that they are going to start encountering. USP of GXX able to grab at least a second kill. Now fast flank coming in from GXX. With a man deep in CT as well, this could still get ugly, but just not quite able to hold on to their lives long enough on the B&E side of things to really cause any significant issues. The 2 players who go down are both the MAC 10s, so that's really not going to be anyone's concern. And this is where we need to see B&E really start to fight their way back into this map. If they want to get something done, it has to start soon.
And by soon, you mean right
now.
feckin' now? Yeah. Well, let's say feckin', right? That's not technically, of course.
No comment.
No? Okay. As I said, somewhat limited utility. It's actually a little bit better than I was expecting for them. Recon at least pretty much sitting with the full set of utility. And, well, it's still a few... Well, one Galil kept in play and very little utility for ENCE, surprisingly, as they just want to try and swarm this A bomb site. Smokes down on jungle and connector. Peek from Palace. They managed to take out Ceneri and just don't expect an op apparently to peek from the spawn. It's starting to fall apart for them. One flat throw from connector emerges through the smoke to get a kill as well, but didn't expect Diha in the back of the bomb site apparently.
This is going to get really ugly now. They've not really got control of anything at this point, ENCE, and GXX is retaking the site before they've even got into it. 3 quick kills. And B&E have got themselves on the board with the rifles over on the CT side of things. Looked like for a moment ENCE were going to walk their way into the A side, but as you said, I think just caught a little off guard by how swift the rotations in were. A couple of players not where they were thinking they would be, catches a couple of nice timings, and suddenly the whole round turns on its head. Mechanically, we know B&E are very gifted, very proficient. Seeing them take full advantage of it there, as now ENCE on the force buy have managed to just about scrape this one together. There's an AK, there's a couple Galils, couple Deagles on the board. Really a back of the sofa. How many pennies can you find kind of buy? But it's something to work with. Looking to slowly work their way into this mid control, hoping to try and dodge that AWP if at all possible, because they haven't got too many more smokes to flush him.
We're definitely going to see the fight around connector anyway. Oh, he's not peeking right now, so might get caught with the smoke in hand. One flat throw being rushed down, forced back in the jungle, and well, at this point has already given up his life. Player back into CT spawn, a second actually in jungle. That's the op who does catch Valda apparently coming out Palace. Smoke down to at least less snappy cross. He has a smoke of his own to cover from short so that they maybe have a shot at getting the plant, but they need to kill on Ceneri for any hope to be at all there for them to even get a bomb plant. And well, a couple of kills from Snappy suddenly gives us an opportunity. He has time as well, so he doesn't really need to rush into this. The problem is the bomb's dropped over at ramp, and I'm pretty sure that GXX is well aware of that.
Yeah, Synopsis' flank suggests he absolutely is. Working his way back down towards the ramp, having last been seen on shore, is going to make it so difficult for Snappy. No way he's going to expect this kind of a play, so there should just be a game of timings here. Trying to give himself an elevated angle, trying to give himself something to work with. He'll be taken down for free. B&E will get past that force by Eco to follow, and suddenly this CT side is starting to reel the opposition in. Slowly but surely. And this is going to be the problem now, friends. We spoke about the stats and the numbers, but the question is, how do you outcall a CT side that's just pushing all of your buttons simultaneously? We saw it there again. A couple of quick picks, and in as many seconds, you found one, and the CT side have responded with 3.
Yeah.
Where's the answer?
In the round before, it was, as you said, they didn't expect such quick rotations, but more so, they didn't expect them to follow up on those rotations and be confident enough to push the smoke because of the scoreline it was at, and obviously they didn't really care. They were like, no, what, we'll run through these smokes and take some kills. We need to show confidence right now, and that's exactly what they're given in the early stages of this CT side. And as you said, as you pointed out when we were in the half-time, ENCE do tend to favour towards their CT side here on Mirage, so B&E definitely not down and out, and that's a good sign because map 2, while there's still some hope for sure, it's definitely not one that's favoured for them at all, so they want to try and get what they can do. They want to try and get the win, of course, here on Mirage if possible. The B push so far not being very successful for the Pistols of ENCE, as they are likely to be finding a bomb plant, walking into the crossfire, mowed down. Valda gets 1 kill at least, so I mean, that is something. Small silver linings. Now we're back into the real gun rounds.
Back into the interesting stuff. This is where we'd want to see a response. I'd like to see a set execute into one of the sites, just try and isolate the fights. Some Pius opting out into the Krieg. Given that he can't get his AWP in hand, the next best scoped weapon. Have to see what he wants to do with it, however. Initially posturing towards the ramp. And again, heavy-handed presence for the B&E boys. And again, mid-aggression, this time Synopsy. So before they've even pulled this execute, Synopsy's going to be fairly confident there's no second prong of it out of mid. So they're going to know it's got to be a pop onto one of these sides. You can see it from the positioning. Sampaire's charging out the ramp now. Ceneri drops his util, knows he just has to buy time. And already the rotations will start to make their way in. GXX off towards CT. Juan Flatro pushing through the connector. A flank already instated by Synopsy. And ENCE already running out of time. Not that they know it. Synopsy's working his way out through Palace now. They think they've got time. They think they've got control. Valde's about to find out the hard way that they absolutely do not. Synopsy gets the freebie. And as much as this bomb is going down, how long can you really hold on to it? Snappy doing all he can to enable it, but immediately the trade is in. Juan Flatro gets one more before Madden can even react to him heading through the smoke. And this is carnage across the board. A rough old fight leaves Sceneri desperately breathing through bloodied lungs, trying to do anything he can, but Madden is there to respond. 2 clean headshots, and ENCE finally find the key to breaking down B&E.
Yeah, it took them quite a while, and still a very scrappy round that honestly didn't look like it was going to go their way. A bit of fortune, perhaps. I don't think the peek from Palace was quite necessary either, just as the bomb was going down. They could have let it be put in and just tried to push in together on that retake then with the Palace peek coming in alongside everyone else. Instead, it was just a very easy kill for the man in sandwich. 13 to 8. The economy on pretty much 0 after this buy here as well for B&E. So if things go south in this round, then they're left in a very rough position with very little chance to try and actually fight for, I would imagine, an overtime at best then.
Window smoke blocked.
That failed. Oh, it was a block, was it?
It was a block. It sounded like a block, certainly, and they just realized now that that window is open, but it's too little too late. Juan Flatro and Rigon with free reign over mid, able to find a couple of kills. Diha trying to wrestle back some control, but again, look at how swiftly these rotations are in. 2 more players ready and willing to receive. GXX the first. Juan Flatro deep inside the site. Sceneri there with him. Still 1 minute and 5 left on this clock for some players to try and pull off something magic. But for the time being, B&E are not budging. Still tucked inside. Still holding on to this B site, trusting that if he does head out towards A, they'll just retake it as 3.
Yeah, and that should be the mindset, really. Especially with this scoreline, you can't afford to take the risks of pushing one through B apps or anything to get the confirmation whether he's still there or not. It's not worth it. Sunpai is definitely capable of pulling off this clutch as well. Unfortunately, he runs into the op. GXX shuts him down. It's a 9th round for B&E, and one lone round just for ENCE, really, that immediately is shut down afterwards. No chance to replicate. As I had said, it was a very scrappy round, even the one that they did take that didn't look too likely to go their way. It ended up being from some mistakes from Bad News Eagles, really, that they picked it up. Peaks that were unnecessary, and they learned from that going into that round right there. See what is one of the first full ecos in quite a while, actually. Madden tagged up pretty heavily already by the op. Looks like they just want to focus on mid. I think they sent players through under as well. The goal is the late B play, though, overall. The hope would have been to maybe get a weapon picked up around connector if possible, but that has not worked out for them.
Yeah, hoping perhaps that this Deagle can find a pick, something to work with into the B site, but in all reality, it's probably going to be double digits. Synopsy finds another quick pick. Valde does get one on that Deagle to make it a little bit more expensive at the very least, but already, again, they're so proactive on these pushes. Bomb will go down, so that's a nice little money maker for ENCE. But they are currently shooting fish in a barrel on the B&E side of things. Diha are able to trade it out for at least 1, but again, the response is instantaneous. Valde's held off as long as he can, and it's a rough old fight on the Deagle. So it will be double digits, and B&E, we said it before, you know, ENCE T side, perhaps not statistically the strongest thing in the world. B&E are pushing it hard at the moment. They're constantly keeping the pressure on, not really giving ENCE the room to breathe, and it's working.
Yeah, it can be a difficult style to take after having a slow first half as well, but it really did just come out swinging. M4 dropped over the Rigon, so everything is there for the CT side, but their economy is still in a very dangerous position, so a single round for ENCE could be enough to maybe even push them up to 15 and give them the security of the overtime, so that's not what Bad News Eagles are going to want to allow. It's the standard default, really, in the early stages. Are they holding this late window smoke? I think they were. Hoping that there'd be no one there to block it this time around, since that's happened quite a few times already. And the CTs have decided to pull this back into a very heavy B stack on the with a player in kitchen rather pulled away from window.
They wanted to reaggress it, I think. You saw Juan Flatro on the minimap start to set up for the boost with Rig on. They've actually backed out of it now. So the bomb will be picked up and rotated over towards the A site. Still plenty of utility with a minute left on the clock to execute back in if they want. I think that will be the call here. Refresh of all the util in towards mid will get Snappy out. Adam there to support. 3 to head their way out of the ramp, but here's the counter aggression now coming in from the CT side, pushing up short. Synopsy and Rig are going to try and make this as difficult as they possibly can. As the hit starts to come in, 40 seconds left. One Flatro still alive and kicking inside of that connector. Could cause so many problems for this. It's going to be all on a couple of key timings here, and Madden can't catch his. Rough old fight to start it. Juan Flatro still playing. The smokes will deal with Snappy, and that bomb is yet to make its way out of the ramp. Madden wants to catch Juan Flatro with nade in hand, but instead he gets his head taken clean off. And at this point, it goes from bad to worse. The attack has stalled. They've got no second prong. Some pious, an isolated kill, a couple for D-Her, but it's not going to be enough. It's 11 on the board. The CT side clicks once again. And ENCE just can't find a way to beat it down at the moment. They can't find a way to keep the entries they're getting on their side. Every time they find something, the trade is immediate. The refrag is there. B&E are just keeping them on their toes constantly, and it's suffocating ENCE.
Yeah, it's kind of just falling apart, to be honest. GXX is having a masterful game as well. Joined by Rigon having a pretty solid performance in Synopsy as well. 3 of the players you would look towards the frag for sure. One Flatro slightly quieter, but he's had his moments also. As a scenario, really, as he's going to have one now. Just Madden stepping out ramp, not really sure what was going on. He was making a bit of noise around stairs as well, so I thought you would have heard him there. I believe that was one of the weapons they had invested in. Dropped there in the molly for the moment. Sun Pious, very aggressive through stairs, didn't manage to spot anyone, and that bomb at least will be going down, so that's a small success for ENCE. I don't know how much more they're really going to be able to achieve, though. Never mind, I say that obviously in 2 kills come in. A missed up shot is going to cost them. GXX goes down. There's an up now as well in the hands of Sun Pious. This is falling apart. Snappy might have put the nail in the coffin as it's all on Synopsy. He's dinked up heavy as well. What has happened?
That's a huge series of kills. The pistols just flashed themselves through the smoke. Trusted it to land, and that's exactly what it did. It will be 14 for ENCE. The half-buy gets it done. The initial execute looked rough around the edges, but they threw a second set of utility, a second pop. Throw those pistols through the smoke, hoping with the flashbangs they catch players blind. That's exactly what they did. It was absolute carnage across the board, and as you said, Dean, it's decimated that CT economy. They didn't have the money in the bank. It's been close most of the time. So one round went wrong, and suddenly you're looking at mostly pistols. GXX with the sole rifle. A Mag 7 in the hands of Synopsy. It is not the kind of buy you want to be defending 15 with, and well, they're going to try and go fast off the back of it, knowing that the firepower is perhaps lacking around the edges. ENCE are going to try and take this map control early, and it's just a 5-7 inside of the site itself, stuck for the time being behind those triple boxes. They know exactly where he is, and they're not going to let him get a damn thing. Rigon, at the very least, will trade it, and that's a rifle. 3-on-3, Valde unaware of CT. Again, the smoke just a split second too late, and suddenly this gets dangerous again. Rigon and GXX just demolish it on entry, and it doesn't matter what weapons they've got. B&E will make it work.
Yeah, put a bullet between his neck and his shoulder blade right there, I think. Aiming slightly too high because he was lower down on the stairs. It was an awkward one, but a swift retake and big lifeline for Bad News Eagles. It looked like the map was almost going to be over right there, to be honest, for a couple of seconds. Instead, only 2 rounds in the difference, which could be very, very quickly dealt with here if Bad News Eagles just win out this round, because at that point it's a full eco for ENCE, and well, they'll definitely have to take it before coming onto a buy at 14-14 and putting us in with in for a very close game at that point for sure. Very quick window smoke down, no body blocking it this time. And real focus on any sort of control early on for ENCE. I think they're expecting perhaps some aggression. It's been a few rounds since Bad News Eagles tried anything of the like, and I don't know if they're really going to bother with it. Yeah, one player at least pushed up slightly on apps, but doesn't take too much of a risk putting the smoke down in the molly. They're blocking info really, making a bit of noise and then backing away.
And
Keep
here's
them
the
busy.
boost. They've tried this a couple of times. They've thought about assembling it, but ENCE haven't seen it yet. And up on top of the bricks, Rigon will get a freebie. Madden goes down, and once again, it's that pressure right onto the T side. They're countering with their own proactive CT plays. It's going to be a straight B pop at this point. The flashes are decent. Valde's out. That'll be a freebie, but there's still more bodies here. Still GXX lurking around short. He is losing teammates, however, and with a missed shot, that bomb will go down. Not the greatest plant in the world, but some Pious makes it work for another. And suddenly, out of nowhere, what we were talking about, an ENCE economy breaking, you have to start considering the reality that B&E's is on a knife's edge as well, and they're going to have to concede the save. They've got no more choice. They'll back away from it. Scenario and Ponflatro will hold a couple of M4s into the next. With the loss bonus, that should form half a decent buy. But it's going to be 3 opportunities for ENCE now to get this one over the line on their opposition's map pick and head to that Vertigo, which they must be feeling safe in. Snappy is even going to have a little bit of a hunt here. I'd be surprised if he can take this rifle off Scenari, but he does. Catches it on the flick. And that's a huge scalp to find.
Yeah, seems like Snappy's coming alive again after having a fantastic first half and just being very quiet here for a while. Let's focus, of course, slightly elsewhere. Got a broader picture to worry about at points. Still puts up numbers. 15-12 though. Even with the 2 weapons, or with the 1 weapon, sorry, being saved, they just do not have the buy at all to fight for this overtime. They'll have to make do, of course, and hope that they can manage to get this one over the line, and this would be the hardest of the 3 rounds for sure if they can make it happen. But I'm not loving their chances.
It's a rough one, certainly. If they get it here, it starts to get easier, but this one is going to be tough. 2 rifles, 1 on the A site, 1 towards short. They've split it as best they can, given both the sites an option that includes an automatic rifle, but realistically, it does leave you outgunned no matter where you head. And ENCE will be aware of that. So they start to plan out their late execute, work their way into this mid control once again. B split looks to be on the cards here. Synopsy is the significant barrier between that, as we actually see GXX rotate away. If Synopsy on short can get a couple of kills, if he can hold this one off, then this really becomes something, but he can't. Nothing doing. Madden clean as you like with the opener, and now Rigon, for the time being, is completely alone inside of the site. He has got support coming, but once again, it's only another pistol. It's nothing more than that. GXX does well for 1, but immediately is traded. And at this point, flying in is the pistol. Ponflatro wants to take that rifle towards short to try and give a second angle to this retake. But it's looking like it surely will be impossible at this point. Scenari switching out pistols to do all he can. Ponflatro's got 1. Needs a lot more where that came from. Out on short, tapping away. A second body goes down. Scenari's Deagle finds a third, and suddenly it's some Pious thrown into the clutch. This was 2 on 4, don't forget. Scenari edges the smoke, is found free, and now it's onto that. Oh, who nails it? First opportunity. Some Pious finds the 1v2, finds the victory for ENCE on Bad News Eagles map pick, and buys them an opportunity to get it done in 2.
Yeah, sorry, was just getting us swapped over to the screen, of course, but yeah, 16-12 comes true in the end. Honestly, it didn't look like it was going to happen for a while, rather. They really were stumbling in the early stages of that T side. I guess it took them a while to get a bit of a read for what was going on. Even when they won out their initial kind of 2